Hey there, Facebook. We are on part 4 of When We're the Problem. This is our latest series, and we're talking about when grandparents can be the problem in a family relationship. So today we're going to talk about resentment and sharing affections. Now, before I say any of this, I want to tell you one of the most important life lessons any of us can learn. Okay, are you ready for this? Because if we can get this in our hearts, it really helps so many things. There is not a limited supply of love. Love is one of those very cool things that the more you express it, the more you live it, the more it grows and expands. And it is totally possible for a family to spread tons of love among the family members. So there really isn't a lot of need for jealousy or fighting or anything because of love, okay? We all know that there's sibling rivalry almost in every family, and it's in part because those kids are have rivalry. They want the attention and affections of their parents. If they would learn early on that the parents have lots of love to spread around, usually a lot of those problems would go away. So let's just start with that understanding. But let's think a little bit about how resentments can creep into grandparent, parent, and grandchild relationships and how it can be damaging. So there can be resentment on several things. One of the biggest is always money and wealth. People resent. Sometimes young people resent that their parents have more money, have more stuff, can do more things. That comes with time and work. And so we all have that opportunity to build wealth and to grow into those stages. So if there is a disparity, between you and your children and their lifestyle, I would say a couple of things. First of all, don't make it a point to make them feel that they can't measure up or they haven't arrived yet. Give them time to grow and succeed and flourish in their careers, or make the choices that they're going to make do with less in order to have a different lifestyle if they're not career oriented. Perhaps one person's going to work and one's going to stay home, and they've decided that the trade-off in material wealth, they're fine with that. Help them by honoring them in their choices, and don't make them feel that they're not measuring up. And then if you are blessed to have wealth that you can share, be generous. Do the things that you can in a nice balance. We'll talk in a little bit and you'll see why I put that little caveat in there. But be generous where you can with your kids. We cannot take our wealth with us when we die. And if you never have any fun with the wealth you've accumulated, you never spend it, then you just die with a big bank account. You miss out on some of the experiences that you might have been able to have with your children and grandchildren by being generous and spreading that wealth around. So respect. Here's another way that, resentment can build up. And it's if you don't respect not only your own child, but your in-laws, daughters-in-law, sons-in-law. You don't want to be the stereotype. You want to make friends of your adult children and their spouses. You want to not treat them as if they're still children. You want to be friends and talk to them on a peer group level almost. Let them come to you, of course, for wisdom and advice. But don't feel like you're still the parent that has to tell your adult children how to do it, okay? That doesn't go over well. And we all struggle with it, so I'm not trying to knock you down or anything like that. I struggle with that myself sometimes. If I could live their life, I'd do something differently. But I have to back off once in a while and bite my tongue and say it's their life. What about affections? And here's where you get movies like, what was the movie? Monster-in-Law, I think is what it was called. And it talked about a mother who was really upset about his son falling in love and she treated the daughter-in-law terrible. And that, of course, is the classic stereotype. Don't be that person. Don't be that grandparent. Don't be a threat for the affections of the spouse of your child. That will affect your ability to be a really wonderful grandparent because it'll put tensions in the relationship. It will cause one party or maybe even two parties not to want you to spend time with their kids. And that is not where we want to be. What about something like gift buying? As wonderful as it sounds to buy gifts for everybody, it can sometimes turn into a problem. And there's a couple of ways. One is you can just plain old overload things. When our grandkids were first born, we had some that lived right next door to us, and that got to be a problem. Nani and Papa were so excited about these grandkids. It's very easy to go in a store and say, oh, such and such would love this, and such would love that. And pretty soon, their house is overrun with all these little toys and things that the grandkids really didn't need, and the parents were struggling to keep up with. So we had to consciously slow that down a little bit. But what about the other angle that can come with gift giving? What if you're trying to buy affections or outspend the other grandparents or outspend the parents? That's not healthy. So be mindful of that in the gift giving. If you have something that you want to splurge on, maybe talk with the parents up front and say, hey, is this okay? Can we do this? We found the perfect thing. It's a bit of a splurge, but we don't want to trample on anybody's feelings or cause any upset. Get permission first. We've done that when we made gifts of certain things. We've asked first to make sure it doesn't offend somebody. Activities are another one. The classic stereotype of Disneyland dad. Well, maybe you don't want to be the grandparent that's always doing something so extravagant that the parents feel like they can't live up to that with their kids because they don't have the money to do it or whatever. They're busy with careers. So always seek the balance in those things so that you don't put stress and resentment and a struggle for affection into that very important mix, that multi-general relationship mix of affections. These are such important relationships. We want them to be strong no matter what, and we never ever want to be the problem. So grandparents, take heart. I'm not trying to lecture you. I'm trying to share some wisdom in hopes that we all here, including me, and we do our best to build these strong, multi-generational relationships. Take care and be grand.